Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, we are going to talk about New World. I've been following New World and its progress for a while now. I was one of the many that were interested in the game when it was in alpha, excited for an open world PvP MMO, like a large portion of the gaming community, and we have all seen how the first year played out for New World, which...
Not great, Bob.
I sat on the sidelines throughout all of 2021 and watched one of the most hyped games of recent memory plummet in popularity. However, 2022 brought brimstone stands, quality of life changes for leveling, and some much needed improvements to the game. I personally have been wanting to give this game a try since the alpha, and with these changes and my current MMO being in the dumpster, I decided to give New World an honest shot. I now have well over 200 hours into New World, which, by a lot of standards, is pretty new player-ish.
He has 300 hours, so he's a fucking casual.
So this video will cover my New World experience for how the game currently plays with the Brimstone Sands update from a new player experience. I did no research into this game for best grinding spots, locations, or leveling tips. I just picked up the game and played it, which is quite uncharacteristic of me personally. But with all of the game negativity surrounding New World, and justifiably so, I wanted to provide a perspective for what the game currently is, not what the game was, so that's what this video will cover. My experiences playing New World as a brand new player after Brimstone Sands, and if you should consider playing New World in 2023. I picked up New World and started playing it in November, about a week after the Fresh Start servers were opened, and I was excited to just get out there and try the game out. The introduction starts off simple enough, just a basic tutorial on how to use your 3 skills per weapon, how to pick up quests, and how to do other basic introductory tasks. Overall, the tutorial was solid enough to get me started on questing and leveling my account, as well as the numerous different life skill lines available in New World. I didn't really feel lost on where to start. I kind of just took off running, so it did a pretty good job in that department. Venturing out into the wilderness in New World as a complete noob was fun. From my entire experience from level 1 up to level 60, I was extremely impressed with how good fighting the NPCs were. Everything seemed properly scaled to where I wasn't mindlessly fighting enemies so much lower than where my character was at that point in progression. For me, it kept the game fun and challenging as I was wandering around doing quests. I'm sure you all also have had experience in the past playing other games where you felt like a god merely destroying everything in your wake. After a while, that gets boring, for me. This is not my experience at all playing New World, which is a welcome change. You know, if you're gonna have a long grinding experience, in my opinion, having one that's challenging and interesting is better than not. Overall, the quests, I would say they're just okay. I wouldn't say they're great. I wouldn't say they're bad. I don't think the storyline will win Game of the Year, and I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys. But I think it could be a lot better. I think it could be better. I think it could be a lot worse. I think I was told when the game first came out that they didn't have these quests, and this was a new Brimstone Sands thing, and I think it's a good step in the right direction, and I really hope they keep fleshing out this area of the game, and I'll discuss that more in the future here in this video. The world itself is massive and extremely well done. You can tell that the development team spent a lot of time designing the world, investing heavily into harvesting. Now, personally for me, as a player, I've never been a fan. I'm not one of those guys that goes out and wants to pick flowers for hours on end, or chop down trees or whatever, but I don't mind it as much in New World because it's so well done. I think a lot of people would agree that New World is the standard as far as harvesting and collecting goes, which is a very small detail, but it's... you know, it shows that they've put effort into the details, which I think is valuable. There are also no mounts in New World, so starting out, you walk everywhere until you get to outpost towns and other way shrines that allow you to teleport from each spot that you've traveled to. Now, aesthetics of the mounts aside, the speed from traveling from zone to zone was mostly fine, most of the time. The new hikes into a new zone always took a bit of time, a bit longer than I would like, which I really wouldn't have complained about if there were more things to do on my way there. Now, each area is a new zone, not everything's leveled to you, so as you get to a new level, you go to a new zone, and yeah, doing those hikes did take some time, but overall, there just wasn't a ton to do on the way there. And so overall, this leads me into the main crux of where New World is right now. New World started out in the alpha and the beta as a game with open world PvP potential everywhere. Everybody's flagged all the time, non-stop combat all the time. And so this type of venturing from zone to zone would lead to PvP encounters. This is what would fill the void of traveling to these new areas. However, where I think the development team found a hang-up is they weren't prepared for what to do with new players during this open world environment. It's one thing to have open world PvP all the time, anywhere and everywhere. It's a completely different experience to have geared out endgame characters hanging out in starter zones, slaying the same new players over and over again just because they can. With New World starting out, there are only a few zones that you can comfortably play in. If you're level 20, there's only a few zones that you can go to. So if you have enough endgame players constantly killing you, well, it doesn't do much for retention of new players. These veteran players know exactly which zones to sit in to play or kill all day, every day if they wanted to. There's a big difference between open world PvP and just killing new players like shooting fish in a barrel because you can. I think the devs realized way too late in the process that they didn't have a plan in place for how to handle this situation. And instead of spending the time to try and figure it out by incorporating new systems and other things to put in place of this, they scrapped it entirely to go with this toggle PvP off and on function.
Shut the fuck up! Know your fucking place, trash!
Which seemingly solves those problems, but creates a whole new set of other ones, in my opinion. Now, you have this massive world where engagements with other players anywhere and everywhere is supposed to be the norm, and that experience is limited because people just don't toggle for PvP. This isn't inherently a bad thing. If you had more things to do, more side quests, more things in the world to engage in. But New World doesn't have that right now. They've made huge steps in this regard with the Brimstone Stands update, but in my opinion, they still need some work to do in this regard. There's just too much dead time right now between not enough people flagging for PvP and not enough quests and things to do on the way to these new zones. New World to me essentially is two worlds. You have the open world PvP almost survival-like game that's not being used, and you have the crafting, harvesting, questing game that's not fleshed out enough. So you toggle on to PvP where nobody PvPs, you toggle off to a questing game to where there's just not enough quests and the world isn't enriched enough for this to happen from a new player experience. It's fine, it could definitely be a lot better. I'm sure a few of you have gotten this far in this video and are like, okay, else, what about the PvP? A big portion of this game is PvP and you haven't talked about it at all. You're right, I haven't. And there is a good reason for that. I flagged for open world PvP from level 30 on, and I was lucky to find one to two people a night while I played that were also flagged for PvP. So basically, I was flagged to gain the 10% more experience, which was great and all, but I flagged for PvP to play PvP, and nobody's flagging. I tried queuing up for 3v3s also, since you can start doing that at level 30, but after trying on 2 separate occasions, waiting an hour in queue each time, I just stopped. There wasn't a population for it. Even after I started a week after the new servers in a new server, there wasn't a population for me to get 3v3s at level 30. Now, this experience will vary with all of you. Servers and players in those servers will vary. Obviously, different servers, from my experience, will have different experiences, and some of you will say, hey, I was able to do this. But it wasn't for me. It didn't happen on the server that I'm on. There was no population for PvP at all at the lower levels. You basically have to wait until endgame. Now, I know at this point just seems like I'm bashing New World, which wouldn't be further from the truth. My goal with this video is to paint the whole picture. I have over 200 hours logged for a reason in this game, and if all this negativity were my entire thoughts, I wouldn't have played for as long as I have. The saving grace for me was the dueling experiences I had with friends. I spent hours dueling different friends when we were around the same level, just trying to figure out combinations, different gear setups, different weapon setups. We were all new at the game and we were just trying things out. We were all at the same level, and it was a lot of fun to just have those fights. We all sucked equally, and it was a great time. The combat to me in this game is great. It is really, really good. Doing the expeditions are fun. Doing open world OPRs, doing 3v3s, duels, group duels. These things are a lot of fun. And I think if more people had the ability to access it at an earlier level, and I'm not saying, make it necessarily easier or faster to get to endgame, but if newer players had the experience that I did, of playing and experiencing what endgame combat is, I think retention in this game would be a lot better than what it currently has been. This is where I think New World could improve. If their questing world were more fleshed out, allowing non-PvPers to enjoy their world more from area to area, that would help a lot for that type of player. If there were more incentive to flag for PvP in open world, creating a larger population of players just fighting and playing in the world Amazon initially created, that would also help. If 3v3s were somehow able to get battle leveled for under level 60 players, allowing them to actually experience PvP before the grind to endgame, that would also be an improvement and help with retention. For me, the combat wanted me to stay, but I'm sure a lot of players quit this game before they even got that far. I'm not saying cater to new players or make the game about them, but if you're going to have 3v3s at 30, you should try to make a population for it. If you're going to have flagged PvP in open world, incentivize people to flag more. Those little morsels of what endgame is would boost retention dramatically, in my opinion. So, to summarize, I think New World is worth the price of admission for a new player, even before you get to endgame. For me, as a player, I want to know that my money spent on a game gets a certain amount of hours of actual enjoyment playing. I got New World on sale for $20 last winter, and got about 100 hours of the new player experience out of it. 100 hours of just questing for fun, leveling different life skills, weapon lines, dueling friends, etc. I didn't speed track into it. I just wanted to experience the game, experience different things, and I got 100 hours out of it. All of this before I got into OPRs, 3v3s at level 60. For me, $20 to $40 for 100 hours of fun before you get to endgame is worth it. Now, I've definitely spent more and gotten a lot less. Now, if you watch this whole video and you listen to my perspective and you disagree, then you probably shouldn't play New World. There are still some improvements that need to be made, but the jump from year 1 to year 2 is quite noticeable in my opinion from a New World perspective. And for just a little dash of opium at the end here, if they can make another similar leap from year 2 to year 3, this could be a very, very good MMO and something you may want to invest in before that. Just my opinion. But that's what I'll leave you with. I'm still playing and enjoying New World, and I'll still be continuing to do content on it. So if you're a fan of New World itself, or you want to keep up to date with the game or my progress, you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe this video and stay up to date with more New World content. So I'm going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide in the section below and I will do my best to answer it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.